Hi, I'm Ed Stetzer. I'm here in Rome, Italy with Michael Carpenter. Michael, good to see you today. And your church is Matthew's Table, and a church plant there that you've started. Actually, I should say you actually started a coffee shop that then a church is part of that ministry, kind of in a holistic, community engaging way. Your blog is diningwithsinners.com. Also, you're at the Missional Tribe there. And if you don't mind, first tell a little bit about the church and how you ended up planting this church in this particular manner. It's kind of an interesting story. We talked a little bit last night.
Well, Matthew's Table is based on the scripture where Jesus calls Matthew. The very next scene, you see Matthew and all of his friends having dinner with Jesus. So we take that idea of dining with sinners very literally, figuratively as well. But we were given a house back in January of 2008 in Lebanon, Tennessee, and we just took that as an opportunity to not only plant our lives but also plant that church there.
That's great.
A wise man told me once, put your yes on the table and let God put it on the map, and that's where God placed it.
That's great, man. Well, we're so glad you came along on this trip. Tell us a little bit, how did you hear about the trip, and then what kind of inspired you to come along with us in the Upstream collective here in Rome, Italy?
Originally connected with the Upstream through your blog,
okay.
edstetzer.com, and last summer they were doing the About Europe tour,
right.
And met up with them in Smyrna, Tennessee, and just really connected instantly with them. And from the first day of our church plant, we wanted to know how strategically we could be involved in international missions, and what the Upstream was doing just really rang sound with us.
That's great. You know, you're part of the missional conversation. You're a blogger at Missional Tribe, which has become a kind of a gathering point for a lot of that conversation. You and I have both seen that a lot of the missional conversation is basically a way to describe your church doing something locally and often being unengaged globally. But you've said from the beginning you wanted to be engaged globally. Why is that? Why does that matter in the missional church focus today?
Well, I think it's an unintended consequence of the conversation of not doing international missions. But to say you're missional and not do missions everywhere is just kind of an oxymoron
kind
to
of
me.
Odd. Yeah.
And while we're teaching our people to live missionally, to engage their culture locally as a missionary, we also have to be aware of what God is doing around the world.
Yeah. Yeah, now you're here, you're looking at some ways to partner and connect in Italy and Europe in general, and I was encouraged by some of the things you mentioned yesterday. Tell us a little bit about some of the ideas that you're kind of thinking about. How can we engage in church planting, and what really people think of as a Catholic bastion in Rome, Italy? It's not. It's post-Catholic, and it's also post-Christian and deeply secular, in need of church planting and ministry. What are some ways you're thinking in terms of your church, Matthew's Table, can engage in God's global mission here in Rome?
Well, we're not sure what it's really going to look like yet. One thing we were talking about earlier is a European worldview, how that's kind of ahead of where we're at. So at home we hope to be ahead of the curve there, but also, hopefully sending teams here that would be an ongoing kind of partnership. I would move here tomorrow, but it's just not where God has sent me.
Yeah.
So we hope to be sending people here to be a partner in the ongoing work that is here.
It's great. It's great. We just walked out of, we're a couple hundred feet from Paul's prison here in Rome. Paul tells us in Ephesians that he's an ambassador in chains. And so an ambassador represents a kingdom that's not of this world. We join Jesus on his mission of global evangelization. What word of exhortation would you have to those who watch via your blog, my blog, the Upstream Collective blog? What is that? TheUpstreamCollective.com, I think that is, and they can find out more information there. What word would you say to them about how they might be ambassadors for Christ, even here in Rome, and the challenges for that?
I think a lot of times, me personally, I feel often inadequate for the task.
Yeah.
But yet, Paul's here in prison, an ambassador even in chains, as you said, and yet he was still continuing to tell God's story.
That's a good word.
And so we need to tell that story wherever we're at. And if you have opportunity to travel overseas, do it.
Yeah.
There's no cost that's monetarily, it's not expensive to even come. Yeah. So we're saying that Paul is imprisoned in a place to where the feces of the prisoners above him would drip down on him, and yet we worry about spending $1,000 on a plane ticket.
Yeah.
And it should be of no consequence to be able to do that.
So if we're going to look at it as God's global mission,
yeah.
And I appreciate so much you not allowing missional to be about about having a soul patch and listening to indie music, man. I appreciate that you want to join God in his global mission. People can find more information about what we're doing here at the upstreamcollective.org. I said .com a minute ago, the upstreamcollective.org, and they can find more information there and hopefully find out about what we're doing here and elsewhere as we help Christians engage in God's global mission. Thanks so much for watching.